welcome to episode 3 of the Gaming Saloon. I'm your host, ScottishBandit. Here, I've spoken about him before on the show. My brother has finally came here to get a discussion on the go. So there's a spoiler warning I want to tell you. We're going to be talking about Metal Gear Solid in all its spoiler glory. So if you've not played Metal Gear Solid 1, I'd advise go out and play it. I don't know why you haven't. If you don't care about spoilers, we're just going to continue on.
They probably will just be for Metal Gear Solid 1.
Metal Gear Solid 1. We're not going to be doing.
I don't think we're spoiling anything else here.
We're not spoiling anything else. We're going to maybe touch upon a few things, but you don't have to worry about spoilers for the other Metal Gears. Just Metal Gear Solid 1. Now this is going to be a more casual gaming saloon because I've got a guest on. We're going to be obviously discussing back and forth. So more of a casual experience. So we're just going to get right into it. And what we want to start with is, why do we love Metal Gear? Because it's my favourite franchise.
Mine as well.
Your favourite franchise. So yeah, we'll start off with you. Why do you love Metal Gear?
For me, obviously I don't want to go too much into it in a rant, but obviously playing it as a kid, starting to understand video games, never experienced a story in a video game, and this was like, you go through Metal Gear, the way it starts, and I was just blown away by the graphics. Felt like an adult more game for the age I was at the time. I probably didn't know if I should be playing it just because of how complex it was. But yeah, we'll get into the start soon, but it's straight away immersion, and the reason I love Metal Gear, it's just a well-rounded package: gameplay, music, immersion, characters. The best characters in video games, I think, top to bottom.
I agree.
And for me, I just always thought, like, when I was a kid and I played it, and then I go back as an adult, and you can appreciate it even more. You can understand it more. I know a lot of people think the series is convoluted. I say it is at times, but you just gotta be smart about it. It's not. People say, "Oh, it's convoluted." It's like you just don't understand it.
It's worth it if you try to into the lore and the whole story and things like that.
And for me, story is the most important thing in games. And here, I have a story, twists and turns, characters, the grey areas, the motivations for these characters. It's a solid package for story, and everything. I
agree. Now, you've touched on a lot of things that I was going to. But I'm just going to pick up a few things that also character development. These are not a lot of these characters get developed over multiple games, and we're obviously only talking about Metal Gear Solid 1, but also, for example, like I said, across multiple games, and obviously they don't. Kojima anyway doesn't care about alienating newcomers, which a lot of video games do these days, where it's sequel-itis, where they basically just forget about the first game or the game before it and just do a completely different story. Where Metal Gear takes a lot of that lore. It might alienate people, but it's great for Metal Gear fans that have stuck around for the whole franchise. And like you said, story's my favourite thing about gaming. So Metal Gear Solid 1 was the first story. I would say Final Fantasy 7. I'm not sure if...
I think in the way of...
Final Fantasy 7 came up, but this is more of a movie based.
Yeah, realism, graphics, cutscenes. This was like being told a story. Like you watch a TV show and it's like, whoa.
Yeah, this is
never seen a story like that before.
And you could get absorbed into the atmosphere of the game.
Really pushing the PS1 at the time.
Definitely pushing the boundary of the PS1. The cutscenes themselves, you'd never seen any cutscenes like it. And just story and characters is probably the main thing for me about the Metal Gear franchise.
There's some exceptions possibly, but I don't think a lot of developers put story out there the way they do in Metal Gear. This was a full story game. If you're not here for the story, you're not going to pay attention, you might not understand it, but if you are here, you will be rewarded with a great journey.
Or you're going to get a deep story, and that's where you said that people say it is convoluted. There's a lot to take in. You might not, on the first playthrough, even get all the things, but like I said, it does reward you for playing over and trying to dig deeper into all the story elements. And obviously the gameplay, we'll touch on that later, but the stealth gameplay that we had never even seen before on back in the PS1 days, and so this obviously took the gameplay to another level. So I think it's an awesome franchise, and I love it. Anything more you want to say?
Not really. I just think that most people have probably played this game or heard about this game, so I don't think we're sitting here talking about a game you haven't heard of. But I know that when I being loving the franchise, and I can tend to binge a lot of YouTube and try and learn as much about it as possible. So I'm sure someone could have found our video here trying to do things that I've done.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, trying to look at it. And I will say that's actually quite a pro in a lot of games you play over just to experience again, but because there's so much in Metal Gear, you do forget some things because, like, Metal Gear Solid 4, for example, there's too much for you to remember on one go, so you always pick up nice pieces that you might have missed the first time.
And I also want to mention that this game is doing a lot of things that weren't being done.
No.
You know, it took storytelling to the next level, writing to the next level. You know, you play story games. I'm not going to call it any games here, you know, but this is gameplay focused, and it's like, hey, can we merge a great story on here? Phenomenal.
And you know, you still get gameplay. You get awesome boss fights and gameplay like that, but obviously investment to keep going. Like I say, character development. And I will say, you know, this game came out over 10 years ago, and games these days are not even doing it.
Yeah.
You know, you thought, obviously some games have taken up the mantle and taken inspiration from Metal Gear for sure, but in a day and age where you can get your biggest baddie's a guy with a sentry gun and armor, come on, can you not come up with better than that? And this is a game that comes out with like a whole roster of them.
And again, this is not a fantasy game. This is not a sci-fi.
No.
I'm not going to call it a sci-fi game. There may be some sci-fi
elements. It's got some crazy elements, yeah, but it's more. It's
grounded.
It's grounded. And I think that's why obviously the craziness sticks out and is. I love it because it is a grounded game. So when you see the craziness, it's special.
It's special.
Instead of
as long as you don't overdo it.
Yeah, I agree.
It's done right.
I agree. Right. Okay then. So the next topic we're gonna go on to is the story. So we're just going to basically, tell you about the story and obviously explain what we loved about it. Now, the start off of the story, Solid Snake has been retired. Terrorists have taken over Shadow Moses, a base, and basically the colonel that used to work with Solid Snakes pulled him out of retirement begrudgingly, and basically because he's the one legendary soldier that can get the job done and needs to be him. So basically they recruit him to go into Shadow Moses and stop basically a nuke being set off. Obviously they might not know all the full details.
This is the base plot of the story. Obviously there's things that we're not going to get into all of it. And also maybe play some other Metal Gear games, you know. And you can definitely go in with a different look and understand things a bit differently sometimes. For
sure, but that's the base plot of things. So it's stopping a terrorist group shooting off a nuke. Obviously getting into the actual game at the start, obviously it comes in like a movie with the credits, the music, James Bond, which I think shows in this game, and you can obviously unlock a tuxedo that you can use as obviously a throwback to James Bond. And I feel like it does feel a bit James Bond-y.
Oh yeah.
When you get all the dialogue of here's your mission briefing.
Yeah, it does feel very James Bond.
If anyone does ever play it for the first time or play it, I always advise do the mission briefings because they're optional. Yeah. And I always liked it. It felt like you were getting prepped for a mission and talking about some of the villains as well, and you're like, who are these guys? It's really cool. So yeah, I think the start of the game is very strong.
It is very strong, you know, very immersive straight away as you're swimming in the gear. You come up, you're kind of thrown right in there at that point.
Yeah. Thrown right in.
And I think the music's phenomenal at that scene, like you said.
Yeah, it's
the
great.
Music is great. And it's like, straight away captures me, captivates me. I'm like, oh, this music, he's swimming, it's very mysterious in a way.
I think the music's great, but I think it feels big time. There's a lot of games nowadays, and since Metal Gear Solid 1, where you're doing a mission but you don't feel the stakes are on the line. I feel like the way they present this, especially like I said, the mission briefings and giving you the whole dialogue of what's going to happen and who you're against, and obviously the music coming in, you feel like you're a one-man mission to stop these people shooting off.
That's why it feels like James Bond to me.
Yeah.
We've seen it before in other mediums and games and now, but it's one guy going in to infiltrate this base. which is pretty much where the whole game takes place in this
And
place.
I do love that as well.
Yeah, because it's a very confined area, but it's still big enough to go around, and it's great. I like the location challenges.
There's definitely exploration and some backtracking involved, which, to be fair, at the time as well, was a bit unheard of in this type of game. It's a lot more linear games. I've not obviously played enough of the Resident Evil and stuff, but maybe like that. But yeah, I think it was a great start, and obviously you do get a kind of glimpse at Liquid at the start to tease you with what's to come. And obviously from then on, you're obviously the first after that is the Dorf Chief incident. Which was one of the, I think it's a strong scene straight off the bat for me. I think it's the first point where you're like, something's not quite right here.
Oh yeah.
This is not going to be a traditional story, because obviously you're talking to him, and obviously got all the dialogue and things like that. But how did you feel when he starts flipping out and the screen starts going crazy?
Well, again, because there is a very impressive cutscenes for the time, and I do want to say here, going through the tunnels, the air vents.
Yes.
It really added to that part for me, because it's like I was coming into different rooms, and it was quite freaky, quite weird. You're not sure what's going on. You don't understand it. I definitely wouldn't say horror, but it's uneasy. It's uneasy. It is uneasy. You're just like, what's going on here? It's kind of freaking me out. But yeah.
I thought that they did the camera and the music, because I think they do this weird, I don't know what you'd call it, but I think they do it with Grey Fox as well. I can't say what the sound is, but it's this little cut sound, and it just screams uneasiness. And I think the thing with the Darby Chief, which is so good, is he starts rambling and you don't know what that means at that time.
No.
But it obviously is foreshadowing stuff. And then he just obviously dies. And I remember the first time I watched it was as a kid watching you play it. And all was going on in her head is like, we didn't do that. We did not kill that guy.
Yeah.
And then you obviously see Meryl after that, and she thinks you killed him. And it's kind of like, I'm innocent here. I don't know what the hell happened to this guy.
Yeah, it was a very cool moment to set the pace for like what was to come in the tone, and the craziness started.
And obviously, at the time, you thought he was a goodie. So it's an innocent man just went down, and you don't really have a clue why, just randomly. Because it's like, is it aura attack? What were you saying before you went down? It's very mysterious, which I loved. Because you always felt like there was something more to that, but you couldn't grasp what it was.
You just didn't have all the pieces of the puzzle at that time, but it definitely, like, it was very well done. Very well done by the Darby Chief.
I guess we can pretty much, well, I tell you what, we're going to leave that for characters.
Okay.
We're going to leave that for characters. But then obviously you meet Meryl for the first time. When we're basically going to go through the story piece. When we come to characters, we've got a different topic for that. So we'll go more into depth with the characters at that time. Now, story-wise, I have to say though, is you obviously see Psycho Mantis after that point.
Yeah.
That's the first point where I was like, obviously going into this, and I think you're the same, I was like, this is very much a realistic game. Realistic stealth game, military, you're a one-man agent. But then obviously, a wee bit like James Bond as well, the sci-fi elements, if you would call it, start coming into play, and that's obviously where Psycho Mantis is levitating with his gas mask. You only see him for a brief spell, I believe.
Yeah.
And I think the music, does the Psycho Mantis music play there, or is that later?
No, I think it does.
I think it does. It does that Blueberry. And what did you think at that point?
Again, it was just way more interested in the game, even more than I was, because it was quite difficult, not super difficult, but again with the backtracking and knowing where to go, and
especially with being kids.
Being kids, it wasn't super easy. If you go back now, it's not super hard, but yeah, I thought it was great. I thought it set the tone, the music again on point here. I thought it became the most interesting character to me. It's like, who is this guy? Why is he dressed like that? I don't want to mess with that guy. And again, which is a recurrent thing I'm probably going to not mention, but I'll mention here, where a lot of the time in games like this, nowadays, you will come across a boss, you know, or a mid boss or whatever, you will maybe see them once before if you're lucky, and then you will kill them. And that's it. This game has characters. You will see these characters interact with each other when you're not around. You will see these characters come back, possibly for multiple boss battles. So it really felt like a scary place to be when Psycho Mantis started coming around.
Well, and what I think this game does really well is they tease you a lot of things. They tease you the Darfid Chief, and you're like, okay, I'm uneasy. I did not get a resolution in that. That's weird. And then you see Psycho Mantis for a brief spell, and you're just like, well, that was not realistic at all. What the hell is this sci-fi nature? But it was only for a brief spell, so you're like, is that a nightmare? I don't go what's going on. And you've just got to obviously carry on your journey. I remember the first time I played, I was like, I was like, I did not want to go anywhere near that guy.
Yeah, it's a very grounded game, but again, the supernatural stuff is nice to have in it.
Yeah, like I said, it sticks out very well, and you know, creates a bit of different mix.
More interesting characters sometimes can be the supernatural characters too, because it is an interesting thing.
I think the sci-fi characters have that X factor a bit, because, like I said, you go through a lot of the majority of the game, it'd be realistic, and then you see that, and it's like, oh, you're special. So obviously going on from that, you team up with Meryl, who, like I said, we'll talk about Meryl as a character more later on, but you're teaming up with her, going through the motions, obviously trying to stay out of the way of guards and the cameras. And I think...
and just to say, we'll get into again more characters, but this would be your James Bond type of... She's your romance kind of...
Yeah.
You know, again, we'll get to more, there's other choices, but...
She
is your romance.
The romance, yeah. She's definitely the romance version of it. And then basically the next time that the story I would say picked up was the first Ocelot.
The first
Ocelot battle. Obviously your first boss battle in the game. Like I said, we'll talk about that character more down the line, but just the fact of, I like the boss battle. Obviously the thing with the Metal Gear series is all the boss battles have strategy to overcome. Yeah. So, you know, when they're
a bit of a puzzle somewhat.
Yeah,
sometimes.
Kind of a boss puzzle, which I like. It's all about skill over, you know, anything else. And obviously it shows in that revolver fight, because you actually see the barrels on screen of how much he's got left in his gun.
Yeah. So well done.
Yeah, what did you think about the Ocelot?
Again, it's another character that, you know, they're introduced, and it's just awesome. It's intense. You're fully immersed because of the intense, and it's just like, I'm trying to deal with this character. I feel like I'm going to get, you know, my ass kicked a little bit here because it's so early in the game. Yeah. And I remember as a kid, not the easiest part. Going back, not so much, but
I will say, you know, I've not played it a wee bit, but I will say it's not. I don't think it's possible. Maybe at first time though.
Yeah. I mean,
and I will say that I think these games, you know, day and age, a lot of games are quite easier, especially boss battles, and you know, I think for straight off the bat getting Ocelot, you know, you won't get tons, but you're not gonna maybe roll over him as well.
And again, a lot of the characters in this game and in other games have a lot of character development to come.
For sure.
And this is definitely a character that had a lot of it, and you don't know much about him at that point.
No, you don't really know anything.
You know, and you could never really guess where that character storyline would go. But yeah.
And it's quite interesting, the introduction to him, because I believe you plant that mine, and then you smash through a wall, and he's just there. So you're kind of caught off guard when you first see him.
Yeah. So your major first battle,
yeah,
I believe.
That's your major first battle. Like I said, we'll talk about that character more. But then obviously you have the boss battle, where in that story again, the way he's talking to you, it's like he knows of you a bit. So for the player and Solid Snake, it's a bit like, oh.
Yeah, again, we're only talking Metal Gear Solid 1 here.
Yes, so
I know some Metal Gear fans are going to be like, what? You know, there's a lot more to things.
Yes, so we can't obviously talk about it, but I'm just saying from the perspective, if you've only played Metal Gear Solid 1, it's on the player, it's like, ooh, I don't, that's uneasy a wee bit. And then obviously we've got to talk about the huge moment, and this is where obviously the sci-fi-ness ramps up again, is when, you know, and this is what you don't get in most games as well, is, okay, we're having a confrontation, I beat you in the boss fight, and you're actually still alive, which is a bit of a shock when you said that. And then a cyborg stealth ninja comes in and chops off his hand.
Yeah, again, just gaming keeps you gripped with what's going on, and yeah, I think that this character instantly cosmetically looks great.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man, and the voiceover.
Oh yeah.
And almost the pain.
Yeah.
Like, this is not just a normal dude.
No.
You know, and you can just feel a lot of pain from this character and a lot of anger from this character, and very, again, mysterious. It's a part of the game.
Well, and the cool thing with that is, a lot like the Second Mask, he comes in, chops off the hand, maybe it says a little bit of dialogue, and then runs off, and we don't have a clue who he is. He's in it. You know, is he goodie? Is he baddie? He's attacking a baddie, but I wouldn't trust him at this point.
He's quite scary again. You know, you don't understand him. You don't know him.
He's a cyborg ninja. So you're obviously going to be caught off guard with him and be like, what the hell is going on with you? You just jump in, like I said, and cut off his hand and go in. Ocelot's pissed off. Obviously that was his gun arm. It's gun hand, sorry.
Which will play into the series later on.
Yeah, everything leads to something. Like you said, you touched on earlier, Ocelot just legs it off. Which is cool because, like I said, you can if you're gonna play what most games do these days, and you know, basically enemies' character developments is the cutscene before the boss fight, and that's it. How are you gonna do character development? You know.
Yeah.
And you know, some games do it nowadays, but a lot of games just don't follow that trend, which I think they should. I think bosses and enemies should get character development as much as the goodies.
Yeah, and I think by this point, we've already had quite a lot of different unique voiceovers.
Yeah.
Which again, voiceovers really help the characters, and if you look at Liquid and you look at Grey Fox and Ocelot as kind of as a western revolver jacket, you know, voiceover.
Oh, very much so.
Yeah, so I definitely I was in. I was already in, but at this point, there's no turning back. You're like, I'm all in on this, and yeah, again, and like I say, foreshadowing with the hand getting cut off, and so that was your first Grey Fox
moment.
Yeah. And it's not like you sit with this character and just tons of dialogue between the characters. You know, it happens and then he goes, you know, away.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say, and obviously the Souls franchise came a lot later, but when I play a Souls game, I'm just waiting to get through that fog to see what the next boss is going to be, what's it going to look like, because they always look crazy and big, and they feel they're going to tear you out. And you could make the analogy of, you're always excited to see another Metal Gear Solid boss battle, to see that cool character and see what kind of boss you're going to get. So straight off the bat, we've seen a lot of interesting different characters, and this is just a handful of many to come.
Yeah.
So, you know, this is why Kojima's ahead of the time, still even nowadays, and I think more love and time needs to be put into villains.
Yeah, and also we're not mentioning here certain other characters that are in the codec.
Yeah.
At this point, the Colonel, I believe Mei Ling's been involved here. And I think Naomi's involved. So I think that's them all so far.
There is obviously, you do get the weapons check, and things like that. That's not. I think she actually might be one that you have to. Find yourself. Actually. But you know, they're
the Russian chick, I think.
They're obviously just you know, goody characters, but they're obviously like you said, tons more.
They're having to learn the game through the tutorials of the codexes and you know, fill backstory, and it's not cutscenes. So, you know, and a lot of that can't be underestimated because a lot of the codex stuff fills so much of the lore before this game takes place, during this game, and you know what characters' motives are that aren't in cutscenes.
There's a lot of codec in this game, and there's a lot of optional codec. So yeah, there's a lot more story there if you dig deep, but obviously you don't have to. But obviously the all the story that you get presented to you through cutscenes and things is going to be the majority of it. But it's nice that you can find more backstory to these characters.
Yeah, and you can also just, because of that, just contact them at any point. You get your little number, you can put it in, you call them, save your progress, or get some advice on what to do. And there is times, and especially when you're younger, where it's like, I have no idea what to do right now. I'm going to call the Colonel, and they'll kind of put me in the right direction.
Especially on boss fights.
Yeah, that's one thing sometimes I forget because I don't really typically do that, but there is times where I've had that in the Metal Gear series where I'm like, not sure what to do. He's like, hey, try this. I'm like, alright.
No, again, it can help you a lot.
Yeah, I love that.
And Kojima's, if you're into Metal Gear and you know Kojima, he's always doing things out the box. And speaking of boxes, he actually puts the codex of Meryl on the back. You see her numbers because you can obviously put any number you want, but most of them won't call anyone. But so you can call her straight off the bat.
Yeah, but a lot of people did not know that.
No one pretty much knows.
And there's some secrets in this game like that. So.
Yeah, which is quite nice to see. So yeah, after that point, you've obviously So Grey Fox. Well, we don't obviously know him at the time, but Grey Fox, the character, has just sliced off the arm of.
Which again, what an intro for the character! It comes in so strong.
So shockingly, isn't it?
Yeah.
When he comes in, and like I said, you're in a fight with a baddie. You don't expect another random to attack that baddie and run off.
Yeah, especially a character that's like the look of that and the way the character is.
Yeah, and I believe he jumps in with octo camo, stealth camouflage, and then comes out and then goes back into octo camo and then legs it. So yeah, that was, the cutscenes you're getting in Metal Gear Solid 1 are top of the food chain.
Yeah, they're really good.
Now, the second moment of craziness comes after that because you speak to, off the top of my head, I can't remember the guy's name. But he's still, he was working with the Darfa chief, and he was like the...
Oh, yeah, I got you.
The leader, the CEO type for this base. Obviously you get some dialogue from him, and then again, he just randomly does this craziness and like, it can't be, and then just dies.
Shades of Darfa
Chief. So then you're like, wait a minute.
Something's going on.
Yeah, then you know something shady's going on because this has happened twice now, exact same way. They've said the kind of same things before they die. Something weird's going on.
And he does help you a lot at this point.
Yeah,
with the being told about the deactivation and the cards.
Yeah.
And where the key cards are and who has them. So yeah, but I believe he gives you one.
I believe he gives you a key card.
I believe he gives you one.
Yeah.
Oh, Donald Anderson, the Darba chief, has one of the others.
Yeah. And obviously two goodies that just died randomly for some reason. And he
was also, I believe, before this, or is it after this, he gets interrogated himself by Ocelot. But yeah. That had taken place before, maybe.
Who are you talking about?
The guy that we're talking about now.
Oh yeah, he had been tortured because he said he took a lot of damage. Because I believe, if I'm right in saying so, obviously that's the bit where you fight Ocelot, and Ocelot's got him tied up next to bombs.
Yeah, he's sitting down tied on.
Yeah, so that's the Ocelot way of doing things. So that I really liked that moment, and I thought Ocelot was a very good starter boss. Now, obviously, when you get more on, then you start. I believe after that is the first time you see Raven in the tank.
Raven, the tank, yeah, on the snowfield.
Which was a crazy boss battle. One of the more maybe mini bosses. The vehicle bosses. I suppose it's not really mini because they're still on, but the vehicle bosses. Obviously launch a grenade into the cockpit and you're good to go there.
Yeah, you have to do it a few times. The main gimmick of this is also the mines, the bombs that are on this snowfield.
Yeah.
So it's like, hey, well, I don't know where they are. I'm gonna have to go get back and get this item, get backtracking, so I can cross that snowfield. You could risk it, but it would be really hard not knowing where any of them are too. I have actually got pretty close. I may have even done it. I'm not sure. I can't remember too much, but I remember being like, hey, I'm just gonna make a run here. But got tagged there. But you can't get tagged many times.
Yeah, because
on the normal difficulty.
But yeah, it's when you get that where the Ocelot boss battle near where that takes place is one of the walkers. And something I actually did forget to mention, which just happens just before that, is you get your first call from Deep Throat.
Oh yeah.
Which is very interesting. Like I said, we'll go more into that in the character, but again, this character is saying, yeah, there's mines there, watch out. And you're like, who the hell is this guy? Why? And he's sounding in a distorted voice, so you don't know what to make of that. Should you trust him? Should you not? But he's obviously helping you. So a bit of more uneasiness of who should I trust this guy? You know.
Yeah, I trusted him.
I trusted him. I just was like, why you present yourself?
Again, it was mysterious. It was very mysterious.
Yeah. It's like you didn't want you to know his identity, but he was helping you.
Yeah.
And then obviously more than that. Now this is another scene which we like is Ocelot and Raven going back and forth after the fight. You know, and they're arguing.
Yeah.
Raven's like, you didn't get the job done. You've not got a hand and things like that. And I like to see the enemies interact themselves, even without Solid Snake being present.
Yeah. Again, you know, not every character is going to be perfect or super smart or super strong. So, you know, I remember watching that scene and thinking, you didn't get the job done either.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But, you know...
and you had a tank.
You know, I think Vulcan was there to get the job done, but he was also there sending a message. You know?
Yeah.
So that was set up with, part 2.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to bosses, their vehicle bosses, they'll try, but the real...
That was a very unique boss. Nowadays, this guy's in a tank, it wouldn't feel as unique.
I think it being top down was quite nice for that.
Yeah, that is the camera view of this game is.
Yeah, top down. I thought that it being top down was quite nice variation, and like you said, it was a bit stealthy with the mines, and then obviously placing the grenade without getting hit at the right time. It did have strategy that boss battle.
Yeah, and a lot of this game is not like filler and some other things. Oh, you have to do this to get here. It's still kind of that, but getting this thing to see the mines to go through.
It had reasons.
It had reasons, and as long as you're making it fun. And I thought it was scary a little bit, but it was because it was going across that snowfield.
Yeah, because you didn't know when you were going to get hit.
Yeah, it was one of the most intense moments in the game. Period, gameplay wise, I think.
I agree.